To my distinguished co-panelists, very distinguished gentlemen in their own rights, and to our viewers, and to the good people of Ningo Pram Pram. You know, when we say good people, someone asks, what about the bad people? So to everybody in Ningo Pram Pram. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning, but I'm very disturbed because when you read this report, it sounds like the obituary of water bodies in Ghana.
Obituary of water bodies?
Absolutely. That's what this report is. It's like a 37-page report, 37-page obituary of water bodies and our forest reserves. It is sad to see the counter reactions, claims, and banter that is ongoing. Professor Frimpong Boateng is no roadside personality in this country. I mean, this is arguably Ghana's most celebrated medical practitioner, and a cardio surgeon of international repute. His work in Germany and in Europe and across the world is well documented. So we're not talking of some party foot soldier who is engaged in hearsay or whose credibility is in question. We're not talking of palm wine conversation under a baobab tree. We're talking about a detailed report from a seasoned professional who has been a minister of state, tasked with chairing the president's own campaign against illegal mining. The first thing that hits me is the answer to the question the former member of parliament for Manso gave when you asked him if he has been called to answer any questions on this report. I'm wondering why the chief of staff and the presidency has not called any of the individuals mentioned in this report. If what the former member of parliament is saying is true, they've not called them to hear their sides of the story and open an investigation. This is something that should have been referred to the special prosecutor by now. Because if you read that report, allusions are made against persons living and dead on actions that they took that constitute a grave threat to the survival of our biodiversity and ecosystem. Look, in the report, a picture is put, of the River Pra?
Yes.
An aerial view of the River Pra when the NDC handed over power. And you see, for me, except the accusation is that Professor Frimpong Boateng has defected to the NDC and is out to destroy the NPP, I see this as the work of a patron. And I'm not by any stretch also saying that everything in here may be 100% correct or sacrosanct. Professor Frimpong Boateng also has his own questions to answer. But he puts an aerial satellite image of the river at the time the NDC handed over power. In fact, let me just go to the page in the report where he does that. I think it's page 17.
Page 17, yes.
Yeah, yes, page 17. He puts it in there and then goes on to even state subsequent aerial views and the damage. So you see December 2017, what the river looked like in the concession area. And then in June 2018, you see the amount of damage in the space of 6 months that had happened. He makes references to human beings and corporate entities. I'll be interested to see them go to court, like the MP here has, the former MP had stated, because it will be important for us to get to the basis of this. Just that, again, our courts are another kettle of fish. But you see, Alfred, to hear and read some of the things that were said in here. And listen, without any prejudice to the former member of parliament and whatever hearings we had, listening to Honorable, what was his name? Kwam. There were several contradictions in his submissions in his conversation with you. Several contradictions. In fact, some of the things he said indicted himself and sought to give credence to what Frimpong Boateng's report had said. On issues involving illegal mining going on in his district, the role he may have played or not played, he indicted himself. To any discerning mind who listened to him, it was obvious what the situation was. But you know what is very telling? And it is the stuff of Hollywood fiction. But in Ghana, it is our reality. That the president's own residence in Chebi, the president, his own house in Chebi, his garden was dug up. Portions of President Akufo-Addo's garden was dug up in search of gold by the NPP regional constituency youth organizer.
That's captured in the report.
In the report, the president's own youth organizer dug up the president's residence. Where was security? The president's residence at home, in his hometown of Chebi, must be a security zone. Where was the security that his garden got dug up by his own youth organizer searching gold? And the president didn't know about it. And then they had to go and get, Frimpong Boateng had to get a bulldozer and excavator to go and reclaim the land and revegetate the president's garden so that the president can come home and have a garden. Jesus Christ. I mean, look, the persons who have been mentioned, and you see, Frimpong Boateng's report, why you cannot take it as a work of a literary piece of work, but as something serious, is the kinds of names he mentioned. Captain Koda. Captain Koda is head of presidential security. He is literally responsible for the president's security. Excavators are arrested doing Galamsey, doing illegal mining. And Captain Koda calls the police station in the eastern region where the excavators that were seized were sent. And he orders the police to release the excavators because the person whose excavators it is another MP. A sitting MP who is his brother. So familial benefits over national good. Look, I can go on and on. Look, in the report that Frimpong Boateng prepared, he says that what is going on in the eastern region is horrible. Those are his own words, not my word. And that you can't even speak about it. You have Sir John, who willed in his will, his last will and testament, willed the Achimota forest forever to a family member of his that he had appointed as director of operations, Charles Owusu. Don't forget, Charles Owusu is supposed to be a reverend minister.
So I think it's captured in this report as well.
And that's why I'm saying that what Frimpong Boateng has done cannot be taken lightly. Because you see, Sir John is indicted in this report. And he's indicted through the same Charles Owusu as being the coordinator of a gang of Chinese miners mining in forest reserves that the Forestry Commission is supposed to be protecting without any license. Charles Owusu was the director of operations at the Forestry Commission. This same Charles Owusu is the one who the Achimota forest was willed to forever by Sir John. If you connect the dots, you cannot discount what Frimpong Boateng is saying. In there, a Peace FM reporter, the police, his statement to the police is added to the report, where he says that the regional security coordinator, John Oforiata, and the names are interesting. John Oforiata, Central Regional Security Coordinator, working with the vice chairman of the NPP in the region, Eko Ewusi, used a Peace FM report. Look, that prima facie on the surface, circumstantial evidence points to a number of offenses. Former Deputy Attorney General is here. First and foremost, the fact that illegal mining was going on and they were involved in it, When excavators were seized, they then took monies, illegal monies, from the owners of those excavators and got a Peace FM reporter, Seth Mante, to use his bank account at NIB for money laundering. Because the monies were paid to that gentleman. He basically goes to then withdraw the money. He says between 50,000 to 55,000. His own testimony is in the report. He withdraws the money and then it is shared between the regional security coordinator, John Oforiata, and then the MPP vice chairman, Eko Iwusi. You see, Chief, you remember the tape that came out? Party Hiansika. Eko Iwusi was there. Frimpong Boateng himself was there. That's why I said he himself may have questions to answer. And I've heard that Charles Bishop says he knows a lot. Hey, spill it. Let us know. Look, when the president spoke and said, I put my presidency on the line, if the president really meant it, the president would have resigned by now.
He would have resigned by now?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because the president put his presidency on the line. Nobody put a gun to his head to say it. If the president could not get his own people, his head of security, Captain Koda, his senior minister, Yao Safumafo, is mentioned. His prime minister, his cousin, Gabio Chedako, is mentioned.
Mischief.
His party youth organizer dug up his own garden. He's mentioned. The national women organizer of the MPP, Kejemfa, is mentioned. Who else do you want to mention? If everybody around the president is involved in Galamsey, including his director of operations, names have been mentioned, Lord Comey, his minister for information,
they've all come out
was supposed to have organized the media, including NDC media, to attack Frimpong Boateng. All of these people around the president are alleged to have been involved in it. And the president says he doesn't know. That's why the economy is in the mess that it is, because then the president doesn't know anything. So you can't tell me that all of these people are doing all of this and the president is unaware, absolutely unaware of what is going on since the president didn't promise us that managing the economy, he will put his presidency on the line. So he can fail in that one, you can't hold him. But he promised us that he would make sure. Look, let me ask you a question. When the president gave the directive that there should be a ban on importation of excavators, have you seen the number of excavators that have still been imported into the country? Who is enforcing the president's directive? So do we have a president who speaks and his appointees disregard it? Chamfang machines have only one purpose. You can't use Chamfang machine to pump water in your house. You can't use Chamfang machine to go and do irrigation on a farm. Chamfang machine is used to dredge the base of our river bodies and mine in our river bodies. How Chamfang machine, you can't put it in a purse. You can't fold it and put it in hand luggage. You can't fold it and put it in your pocket and walk through Kotoka International Airport. It is imported through our ports, either Takrady or Tema. National security people are there carrying big gota phones and intimidating people. How are the Chamfang machines entering Ghana?
And some of them, we understand, we also established that some of them are assembled.
Chief,
in this country.
The parts of a Chamfang machine, even this bottle of water, if I put it in my pocket, you will see. So how are these parts brought in? And nobody can tell. When you bring in parts, don't people disassemble weapons and hide them in cars? Yet at the port, we are able to detect that a weapon, an AR-15 or an M16 has been disassembled and put inside a metal container, which is a vehicle. We are able to spot those ones. Yet we can't spot Chamfang machine because it's been disassembled. Bruh.
We're here because there is no political will to really end Galamsey.
There's no political will.
And the lack of political will is because politicians benefit from the practice of illegal mining. Anything that benefits politicians and political parties is never fought in this country. Look, this whole fight against Galamsey, it is failing because the president is not committed to it. The president engaged in sound bites diplomacy. He gave the media fantastic sound bites. I put my presidency on the line, and that became the headline. Sound bite. All smoke. no substance. The president didn't wake up and say he wanted to fight Galamsey. It was the media and civil society. Engineer Kenashigbe, my senior, Bernard Avle, they were the ones. I remember when they came to Parliament in 2017. They came there with a board and asked MPs to sign. They came there and engaged Parliament and got a media coalition to back the fight against Galamsey before the presidency came on board based on the amount of pressure that the media launched. As we were saying when we all know President Akufo-Addo. If President Akufo-Addo wants to get something done, he's the proper Ethiopia. There's nothing you will say, nothing you will do that will change his mind. The president is a very stubborn person. And it could be good. When the president decided he wanted to do free SHS, even when, like Prof said, when people say we will pay the school fees, he said, keep your money, I will pay for your child. That's how stubborn Akufo-Addo is when he wants to get something done. If President Akufo-Addo wants to end Galamsey in 3 months, he can end it. But he's not interested.
He's not interested.
Simple and short, because there are too many people around him. Too many political interests that will be affected if he took that decision. And you see, call a spade a spade. It may go even beyond President Akufo-Addo. Because the people doing Galamsey cut across the political divide.
MPP, NDC, everywhere.
If you read the report.
In fact, it captures the fact that
if you read the report, Frimpong Boateng said one of the companies was close to NDC people.
Indeed.
When power shifted, that same company went to another powerful bloc in the MPP. Business interest. Look, I keep saying, you see this bottle of water you've given to us? If we are not careful, before I go on pension, for me to get this water, I have to import it from France. Or from Europe. Because you will not get water to drink in Ghana. There will be no treatable water body in Ghana. Look, do you know the risk we had? There was a study carried out on the bottled waters we are drinking. Do you know the amount of chemical concentration and alkaline levels in there? Because to treat the water, Ghana Water itself has stated they're using 4 times.
In fact, 10 times.
10 times.
10 times the
amount of chemicals. And you think that it doesn't have any consequence on our bodies. Go to our hospitals and see the amount of organ failures that are beginning to happen. Mercury in our fishes.
Skin diseases.
Skin diseases all over the place. Galamsey is mass murder. It's not mass suicide. It is mass murder. Suicide will be people, all of us saying that we are doing it. But this is a small group of people murdering the rest of us because of their greed. It is mass murder by a cabal of business and political interests that have aligned. That is what Galamsey is. And Galamsey is, look, today in our security services, and I'm happy Lawyer Martin Kpebu mentioned the IGP. One of the most lucrative postings that people are even willing to pay money for to get postings is to become commanders of police posts and officers in charge of police posts in mining areas. You have men and women, and here again, I'm careful because the last time I came and sat here and spoke about the military and Boku, hey, all hell broke loose in this country. I am not saying the entire Ghana Armed Forces, but there are people at the very highest levels of the Ghana Armed Forces. There are people at the very highest levels of the Ghana Police Service who are benefiting from illegal mining. They may not be involved in it, but they are providing men to offer protection, and houses are being built for them, cars are being bought for them, money is being given to them on a monthly basis in this country. That is what Otumfuo was speaking about when he spoke to the government people and said, people sitting in this room know the people behind Galamsey.
In fact, Kwenka requested for that video. We'll play it.
Look, it is a look. If we want to stop Galamsey in this country, look, we are spending billions on Operation Nothing Shield or whatever it is called, fighting terror in the northern regions. It's, for me, Galamsey is a bigger threat to our national sovereignty than the threat of terror from Burkina Faso and Mali. Because Galamsey is within the country. It is going, look, you can survive for days without food. How many hours or you can't go more than a day without water.
Indeed.
Seriously.
Water is the essence of life. These guys are going after the very essence of our living. And our government and our security services are complicit in it. It behoves on the chief of defense staff, someone I respect, Air Vice Marshal Oje Amwama, to launch an internal investigation in his own service within the armed forces. It behoves on the IGP, Mr. Dampare, to launch an investigation. Look, you cannot move a military vehicle without the commanding officer knowing where those vehicles are. The military is a very disciplined institution. You can't have men of the military, you can't have army officers in uniform carrying out an operation that their commanding officer didn't know about. If their officer didn't know, I have a case I'm dealing with, Navy officer, a son of a woman in my constituency, who was sick, sent to, he's based in Tema, was sent to the hospital in Tema. The hospital referred him to 37. When he went to 37, the doctor there gave him excuse duty, because he failed to go back and inform his commanding officer. He was locked up in that room.
A sick person?
Yes, because per the rules, he went AWOL. Because yes, the doctor gave you excuse duty, but the doctor is not your commanding officer. You must come back and report to your unit. That's how disciplined the military is. We saw Erastus Asaredonko of your sister, of a radio media house in Ghana, go in there and capture officers of the Ghana Armed Forces, protecting illegal miners. And when the cameras were on them, what did they do? They called their commanding officer. And their commanding officer spoke to the head of the security team that had gone in with the media and ordered them to release the men. And a reinforcement of soldiers was sent in to protect the men. And you want to tell me that whoever is in charge of that unit or that battalion or that platoon is not complicit? We cannot continue to pay lip service and do sound bites. If we want to end Galamsey, whether it is NDC or MPP, we need political will at the very top. I believe that the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ghana Police Service put together, if you give them 3 months to end Galamsey and you resource them, and there is no political intervention from anywhere, they will end Galamsey. Our water bodies will be restored in no time. Look, when the Operation Vanguard thing started, what were they doing? They were putting bullets in the engines of many of these things and immobilizing them.
Yeah.
Then what did you see? We saw all kinds of talk of arbitrariness against the military.
In fact.
And then they now started moving control boards. If you take out the control board and leave the equipment, when you go, I can bring another control board and just insert and move the equipment.
True.
And so the reality is, look, where we are as a country, there's only one way to stop this menace. Look, if you're not careful, all of us sitting here, our children, by the time our children are ready to start having their own children, they will have to be importing water to bath. They will have to be importing water to drink. And for you, Mr. Galamsey, who thinks you are making $1 million in a week, and so you think you have money, your money will be nothing when you have to start drinking the same water you've polluted, and you have liver failure and kidney failure. Your money will be nothing. The people who are sitting at the airport and allowing them to carry their gold bullions out of this country, because the Galamseyers are not selling the gold here.
No.
You've seen Alistair Matthias in the Al Jazeera expose. All of that gold, where is it coming from? Charlie, look, we're not hungry enough in this country.
Thank you.
Look, Alfred.
In fact, you're next. So I just wanted to establish. So you,
Let me drink water. Before the water gets polluted.
Well spoken.
Sam George,
George.
the proposal for the solution to this matter is the police service, military movement without any
It
political
needs the
interference.
president to be serious about it. And for him to send a signal to all of his appointees that anybody who stands in the way of the security services executing a mandate to bring a stop to Galamsey, I will deal with you. It is political will.
Take a look at Otumfo say to the second and this video that hits the nail right on the head about the hypocrisy in the fight against illegal mining in this country. Take a look.
As I'm making Master Mabekano, before I read my speech, it was a cancer baby and we say, and Regional Minister name, Meba, Dina Pomba, and almost say, and a Pachoya can't the work at and so my person Mekana. And this are no Musibia Mekansim Fufrobia, Air Day Kakra. As I said, no crane me catch it almost said, Galamsey, I can, and them have me chimu, ye chimu, send me a year, you have nature me and son. A mobile 30% in Boma Galamsey. Yanni to them, hey. See, I GM watching ya, ye chimu, mobile 30% and not any Boma Galamsey. Ya kano krenwa ye be dada ho e be ye conference ya be say me che ya o ma be ye Galamsey ade ba ko se nananu ne twa asase ne mai o kan o yanim ha no mo kan na bia o to bia o twa asase o de ye Galamsey bia o so wa bu ho for say wa ye bone